legislation which the government has enacted. They're very proud of it. It's the proceeds of crime. If someone has been engaged in crime, the government or the people can come in and seize their assets, their property. So let's see what is a crime. Now, I'm pretty sure fraud is a crime. I'm pretty sure gross negligence is equal to fraud. And when police officers fail to distinguish between a statute and a law, or the law, a motor vehicle and an automobile, a traveler and a driver, when they fail to make these vital distinctions, they fail to maintain their mandate and they start operating outside their mandate. And that is the gross negligence. They end up committing mischief, extortion, and perversion of justice. In short, they end up spending their career, their entire career, committing crime. And everything they've ever been paid, all of their payment, everything they own, could arguably be deemed proceeds of crime. Any police officer who has ever been paid to tell someone either produce identification or you're going to be charged with obstruction of a peace officer is in fact guilty of perversion of justice. He's committed the crime. He got paid. That's proceeds of crime. Anyone who stopped an unregistered automobile and claimed that they had a right to do so because the Motor Vehicle Act restricts the use of the roads to only those who have registered their automobile with ICBC, well, if they can't point out the section of the Act which removed the previously existing right, that's gross negligence. It's equal to fraud. It's a crime. Everything they've been paid, their entire career, everything they've been paid is all proceeds of crime. And we, the people, have the right to take it away from them. Of course, the existing courts would never do that because they're in on the scam. Those courts are merely operated by people, and those people are getting very, very rich, along with the lawyers, the government, and the people in ICBC. Now, I'm sure you can all fool yourself and you can claim you're doing it to protect the public. But if that's the case, why do you people need so much deception? Why is there such a runaround when we try to find the truth? Why is it you're essentially playing keep away with my rights? And you're doing so with guns, with sticks, with pepper spray and handcuffs and a will to kill because we're not in contract with ICBC. Has to be a change there, Cash. There has to be a serious and very rapid change. You have an obligation to those peace officers and to the police or to the public to ensure that the police officers understand there are limits to their mandate. And if you have not gone on record publicly telling them and telling the public that the Motor Vehicle Act does not affect the previously existing rights, then you, sir, are a criminal and you're in cahoots. Now, my other concern has to do with Section 39 of the Criminal Code of Canada and how it mentions a claim of right. Now, as you must know, Section 39 expresses that property which is held under a claim of right can be defended using whatever level of force is necessary, provided we, of course, we don't seek to harm, even against those who might feel that they have a lawful right to that property. Now, let's take that into the context of a private automobile held under a claim of right on the highway. You have your little car. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, it's apparently a Camino, an El Camino. You're traveling and a cop comes and he stops you. He comes out and he tries to seize your car. You tell him it's under a claim of right and you have the right to defend it using whatever force is necessary. You do realize that this is a guaranteed recipe for a violent disaster. And it will happen not because this man who's holding his property under a claim of right is wrong, but because the police officer see, that's his lights. Because the police officer is ignorant and grossly negligent, and because you, Kashid, will have failed to inform him of the limits of his mandate, and you will have failed to tell these peace officers that this man is not engaging in any unlawful activity, and he is simply not operating under the mandate or the umbrella of the Motor Vehicle Act. Now, I know why you don't want to do that, because then you're going to have to explain to all of these peace officers why the hell they've been doing it for the last 20 years. The fact that they have been pawns and patsies to your little scheme is going to become rather apparent. Yeah, in a situation like that, privately owned automobile held under a claim of right, the police officer tries pulling you over and claiming that they're going to confiscate, seize, or impound that motor vehicle. That's what they'll call it. Of course, we know it's not a motor vehicle, but we also know the cop is grossly negligent. What happens if this guy, the cop, pulls out a gun and says, listen, I'm going to use my gun, my pepper spray, my taser on you if you don't get out? And what if this guy has a gun? What then, Cash? I'll tell you what happens then. Tragedy happens then. And it's easily avoided if you act in an honorable manner and simply explain to the cops and to the public that the Motor Vehicle Act has nothing whatsoever to do with unregistered or deregistered automobiles. Are you going to do that, Cash? Because I've got a plan. I've got a course of action laid out. It's entirely lawful, and it will bring this information to light. And if you don't do it and I have to do it, then I'm going to claim that you people are involved in a criminal enterprise. And I'm going to start, well, I've got a plan. It's far better for you if you tell the public the truth. Okay, so continuing on here, Mr. Kashid and all internet viewers. What we have essentially is 4 entities all playing keep away. And to me, it seems an awful lot like I'm in the schoolyard and 4 bullies have got my hat and they're passing it back and forth. And they want me to say, oh, the other one's got it. They love it when you go running around. So the government has created this body of words, the Motor Vehicle Act, empowering ICBC to hire cops to act as agents to enforce that Motor Vehicle Act upon you and to bring you to the courts if you fail to follow the policies of ICBC according to the cops' interpretation of the Motor Vehicle Act. Now, that Motor Vehicle Act is so twisted in its complexity and ambiguity that the cops develop what is called a color of right. So they avoid liability. The government, they avoid liability because they're not the ones enforcing it and bringing you to the courts. ICBC, they'll claim that they don't have liability because it's not them enforcing it as well. And then the courts, well, they just enforce it as well against you because you're in there arguing about it. And for